Post-independence. India. 49. 2022. Q1. The political and administrative reorganization of states and territories has been a continuous ongoing process since the mid-19th century. Discuss with examples. 250 words, 15 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle introduction. Briefly introduce the topic of political and administrative reorganization in India. Filled circle body. Explain the historical background of political and administrative reorganization in India, citing examples of significant events and policies that shaped the process. Discuss the major phases of reorganization, including the colonial period, post-independence period, and contemporary times. Provide examples of important policies and laws that were enacted during each phase. Filled circle conclusion. Sum up by highlighting the impact of reorganization on the socio-economic and political landscape of India. Introduction. The political and administrative reorganization of states and territories in India has been a continuous process since the mid-19th century, driven by factors such as linguistic and cultural differences, historical factors, administrative efficiency, and regional aspirations. Body. The political and administrative reorganization of states and territories in India can be traced back to the mid-19th century. The process of political and administrative reorganization in India can be broadly divided into three phases. The colonial period. Filled circle. The British colonial government initiated several administrative reforms, such as the introduction of the princely state system and the creation of provinces and presidencies, such as the formation of the Bengal Presidency, Bombay Presidency, and Madras Presidency. Post-independence period. Filled circle. Post-independence reorganization, 1950s. After India gained independence in 1947, the process of reorganizing states and territories was initiated to address linguistic, cultural, and administrative concerns. For example, States Reorganization Act of 1956, formation of linguistic states like Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, and Karnataka. Filled circle. Creation of northeastern states, 1960s-1970s. The reorganization in the northeastern region led to the creation of states like Nagaland, 1963, Meghalaya, 1972, and Mizoram. 1987. Contemporary times. Filled circle. Formation of smaller states, 2000. In the year 2000, 3 new states were created to improve administrative efficiency and address regional aspirations. These states were Chhattisgarh, carved out of Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, carved out of Uttar Pradesh, and Jharkhand, carved out of Bihar. Filled circle. Telangana state formation, 2014. The demand for a separate state of Telangana had been a long-standing issue in Andhra Pradesh. In 2014, Telangana was officially formed as the 29th state of India, after a long political struggle and extensive negotiations. Filled circle. Reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir, 2019. The reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019 led to the bifurcation of the state into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir, and Ladakh. This decision was taken to address the issues of national security, governance, and development in the region. Several policies and laws have been enacted to facilitate the process of political and administrative reorganization in India. Filled circle. During the colonial period, the Government of India Act of 1858 and the Indian Councils Act of 1861 laid the foundation for administrative reforms. 50. Filled circle. After independence, the States Reorganization Act of 1956 and the creation of Union Territories marked significant milestones in the process of reorganization. Conclusion. The process of political and administrative reorganization has had a significant impact on the socio-economic and political landscape of India. It has facilitated greater regional representation and improved administrative efficiency. However, it has also led to issues such as interstate disputes and ethnic tensions. The creation of new states and territories has provided opportunities for regional development and has helped in the decentralization of power. 2021. Q1. Assess the main administrative issues and socio-cultural problems in the integration process of Indian princely states. 150 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle. Introduction. Briefly introduce the context of integrating Indian princely states into the newly independent Indian Union. Filled circle body. Mention the complexity of addressing administrative issues and socio-cultural problems during the process. Divide the body into two main sections: administrative issues and socio-cultural problems. In each section, discuss the key challenges faced during the integration process. Filled circle conclusion. Write a relevant conclusion. Introduction. The integration of Indian princely states into the newly independent Indian Union was a complex and challenging process. It involved addressing various administrative issues and socio-cultural problems that arose during the unification of these diverse territories, including examples like Jammu and Kashmir and Hyderabad. Body. Administrative issues. Filled circle political integration. The primary challenge was the political integration of more than 500 princely states, which were autonomous territories ruled by local rulers and protected by the British Crown. For example, the cases of Jammu and Kashmir and Hyderabad required extensive negotiations and, in the case of Hyderabad, a military operation, Operation Polo, to secure their integration. Filled circle bureaucratic structure. The integration process required the establishment of a uniform bureaucratic structure across the newly joined states. This involved merging the existing bureaucratic systems of princely states like Travancore, Mysore, and Baroda with the Indian administrative system, which often led to jurisdictional conflicts and issues related to hierarchy. Filled circle boundary disputes. The integration process sometimes resulted in disputes over territorial claims and boundaries, as seen in the case of Junagadh, which required diplomatic resolution or legal intervention. Socio-cultural problems. Filled circle ethnic and linguistic diversity. The princely states were incredibly diverse in terms of language, culture, and ethnicity. The integration process required the Indian government to find ways to accommodate and address these differences within a unified political framework, which sometimes led to tensions among various ethnic and linguistic groups. Filled circle religious differences. The integration process required addressing religious sensitivities and ensuring the protection of minority religious groups within a secular Indian Union. For example, the integration of Jammu and Kashmir required special provisions to protect the Muslim majority population in the region. Filled circle caste system. The integration process required the Indian government to address these inequalities by implementing constitutional provisions that abolished untouchability and promoted social justice. 51. Filled circle economic disparities. The integration process required the central government to implement economic policies and developmental programs to bridge these gaps and ensure equitable growth. States like Hyderabad and Mysore, which had relatively advanced economies, needed to be integrated into the larger Indian economy. Conclusion. The integration of Indian princely states into the Indian Union was an intricate and challenging process, which involved addressing numerous administrative and socio-cultural issues. Diplomatic efforts, legal interventions, and policy measures were employed to resolve these challenges and ensure a smooth transition. Despite the complexities, the successful integration of these diverse territories ultimately played a vital role in the creation of a unified and democratic India. 2020. No question asked. 2019. No question asked. 2018. Q1. Throw light on the significance of the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi in the present times. 150 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle introduction. Briefly introduce the relevance of Mahatma Gandhi's thoughts in the present times, highlighting their continued impact and influence on societies worldwide. Filled circle body. Discuss the key aspects of Gandhi's philosophy that remain relevant today. Provide examples of how these principles can be applied to contemporary issues and challenges faced by individuals and societies today. Filled circle conclusion. Summarize the importance of Gandhi's thoughts in present times and emphasize the need to continue applying these principles to build a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world. Introduction. Mahatma Gandhi's thoughts and principles remain highly significant in present times as they continue to provide guidance and inspiration for individuals and societies across the world. Body. Some key aspects of Gandhi's philosophy that continue to be relevant today include: Filled circle nonviolence, ahimsa. The philosophy of nonviolence urges people to respond to conflicts and injustices with peaceful means rather than through aggression or violence. It has been a source of inspiration for many global movements advocating for social justice, equality, and human rights. Filled Circle Truth, Satyagraha. In a world plagued by misinformation, fake news, and propaganda, adhering to the principles of truth and honesty is more important than ever. Filled Circle Swaraj, self-rule. His idea of Swaraj encourages people to be responsible citizens, making decisions based on the welfare of the entire community. In the present era of globalization, the principle of Swaraj can help communities maintain the cultural identities and empower them to be self-reliant. Filled Circle Simplicity and Minimalism. Gandhi's belief in simple living and high thinking remains relevant in today's consumer-driven society. By embracing minimalism and reducing our dependence on material possessions, we can lead more meaningful lives and reduce our impact on the environment. Filled Circle Environmental Sustainability. His principles remind us to respect the environment, conserve resources, and strive for sustainable development. 52. Filled Circle Social Justice and Equality. Gandhi's relentless fight against social injustices like untouchability, caste discrimination, and gender inequality remains an inspiration for contemporary social movements. Filled Circle Education for All. His emphasis on holistic education, focused on the development of the mind, body, and spirit, can guide modern educational systems to foster well-rounded individuals who contribute positively to society. Conclusion. His principles of nonviolence, truth, self-rule, simplicity, environmental sustainability, social justice, and holistic education provide a roadmap for individuals and societies to address contemporary challenges and work towards a more peaceful, just, and sustainable world. Q2. Discuss whether formation of new states in recent times is beneficial or not for the economy of India. 250 words, 15 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled Circle Introduction. You can introduce by explaining the rationale behind the formation of new states. Filled Circle Body. Discuss the potential benefits of forming new states. Examine the potential drawbacks of forming new states. Analyze specific case studies of new state formations in India, such as Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, to assess their economic impact. Filled Circle Conclusion. Provide a balanced perspective, emphasizing that the overall outcome depends on factors such as governance, resource allocation, and inclusive development. Policies. Introduction. The formation of new states in India has been a topic of debate in recent times, as it raises questions about its impact on the country's economy. The rationale behind the formation of new states often revolves around administrative efficiency, better governance, cultural or linguistic identities, and economic development. Body. Potential benefits of forming new states. Filled Circle enhanced focus on regional development and resource allocation. Smaller states can focus more on regional development and allocate resources effectively based on local needs, which may lead to better economic outcomes. Filled Circle improved governance and service delivery. A smaller administrative area can enable the government to provide better governance, ensuring that public services and welfare programs are more efficiently delivered to the citizens. Filled Circle greater political representation and empowerment for marginalized groups. New states can provide enhanced political representation for marginalized groups, giving them a stronger voice in governance and policy making. Filled Circle healthy competition among states. The formation of new states can foster healthy competition among them, motivating them to adopt best practices and work towards faster economic growth. Potential drawbacks of forming new states. Filled Circle initial administrative and infrastructural costs. The formation of new states entails significant initial costs, including setting up new administrative structures, infrastructure, and other requirements, which may strain the economy. Filled Circle potential for interstate disputes. The creation of new states might lead to disputes over resources, borders, and other issues, which could hamper economic growth and development. Filled Circle possible regionalism and fragmentation of national identity. The formation of new states based on cultural or linguistic lines can potentially fuel regionalism and weaken the sense of national unity, affecting overall economic development. Filled Circle short-term economic disruption. The transition period after the formation of a new state can cause short-term disruptions in the economy, as new systems and processes are put in place. Case studies of new state formations in India, such as Uttarakhand, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh, have shown mixed results in terms of their economic impact. While some states, 53, have witnessed improvements in governance, development indicators, and economic growth, others have faced challenges related to resource allocation and political stability. Conclusion: the formation of new states in India and its impact on the economy is a complex issue with both potential benefits and drawbacks. It is essential to weigh the pros and cons carefully before making decisions on the formation of new states and to adopt a long-term, holistic approach to ensure sustainable economic development and social welfare. 2017. No question asked. 2016. Q1. Has the formation of linguistic states strengthened the cause of Indian unity? 200 words, 12.5 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle introduction. Introduce the topic by briefly discussing the formation of linguistic states in India and their intended purpose of accommodating the country's diverse linguistic and cultural identities. Filled circle body. Discuss the positive impacts of linguistic states on Indian unity. Examine the challenges to Indian unity posed by linguistic states. Filled circle conclusion. Write a relevant conclusion. Introduction. The formation of linguistic states in India has been a significant factor in the country's administrative and political landscape since independence. The reorganization of states based on linguistic lines aimed to accommodate the diverse cultural and linguistic identities of the Indian population. Body. Positive impacts of linguistic states on Indian unity. Filled circle accommodating diversity. The formation of linguistic states has enabled the accommodation of India's diverse linguistic and cultural identities, allowing different groups to preserve and promote the unique traditions and languages while being part of the broader Indian fabric. Filled circle better governance. Linguistic states have facilitated more effective governance, as it is easier for state governments to cater to the needs of a relatively homogeneous population. This has contributed to the overall stability and unity of the country. Filled circle reduced inter-community tensions. By providing linguistic communities with a political and administrative platform, linguistic states have reduced the scope for conflicts and tensions between different linguistic groups, fostering a sense of unity and harmony. Filled circle strengthened federalism. Linguistic states have reinforced India's federal structure, ensuring a more equitable distribution of resources and powers among different regions and communities, which has contributed to national unity. Challenges to Indian unity posed by linguistic states. Filled circle rise of regionalism. In some instances, the formation of linguistic states has given rise to regionalism and parochialism, leading to a stronger emphasis on regional identities and potentially weakening the sense of national unity. Filled circle interstate disputes. Linguistic states have sometimes led to disputes over resources, borders, and sharing of river waters, which can create friction between neighboring states and pose challenges to national unity. Filled circle political exploitation. In some cases, political parties and leaders have exploited linguistic identities for their electoral gains, leading to the polarization of communities along linguistic lines and posing a threat to national unity. 54. Conclusion. The key to preserving and strengthening Indian unity lies in striking a balance between respecting linguistic and cultural diversity and promoting a strong sense of national identity. Maintaining this balance requires effective governance, inclusive development policies, and a focus on promoting national integration through education and cultural exchange. 2015. Q1. It would have been difficult for the Constituent Assembly to complete its historic task of drafting the Constitution for independent India in just 3 years, but its experience gained with the Government of India Act, 1935. Discuss. 200 words, 12.5 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle introduction. Briefly introduce the Constituent Assembly's role in drafting the Constitution for independent India and mention the influence of the Government of India Act, 1935, on the process. Filled circle body. Discuss the background and influence of the Government of India Act, 1935, highlighting its key provisions and how it provided practical experience for the Constituent Assembly members. Examine the contributions of the Government of India Act, 1935, to the drafting of the Constitution. Analyze the limitations of the Government of India Act, 1935, and the modifications made by the Constituent Assembly to create a progressive and inclusive constitution for independent India. Filled circle conclusion. Write a relevant conclusion. Introduction. The Constituent Assembly of India played a crucial role in drafting the constitution for independent India. The Assembly, consisting of members from various political, social, and cultural backgrounds, successfully completed its historic task in just 3 years, 1947–1949. The experience gained by the Assembly members with the Government of India Act, 1935, played a significant role in achieving this feat. Body, background and influence of the Government of India Act, 1935. Filled circle. The Government of India Act, 1935 introduced several key concepts, such as provincial autonomy, a federal structure, and a comprehensive system of governance. Filled circle. Many of the members in the Constituent Assembly had first-hand experience with the workings of the Government of India Act, 1935, either as legislators, administrators, or activists. This experience provided them with a practical understanding of governance and the challenges faced by a diverse nation like India. Contributions of the Government of India Act, 1935, to the drafting of the Constitution. Filled circle. The structure of governance. The Act provided a blueprint for India's federal structure, including the division of powers between the centre and the provinces, later states. Filled circle. Administrative provisions. The Act served as a reference point for designing the administrative machinery, including the roles and responsibilities of the President, Governor, and other officials. Filled circle. Bureaucratic framework. The Act's provisions on the civil services and public administration helped shape the Indian Administrative Service, IAS, and other essential services in the Constitution. Filled circle. Fundamental rights. The Act's provisions on personal liberties and rights laid the groundwork for the eventual incorporation of fundamental rights into the Constitution. Filled circle. Judiciary. The Act's design of the judicial system, including the federal court's establishment, influenced the creation of the Supreme Court of India and the overall judicial structure. Limitations and modifications in the Constitution. Filled circle. Despite the influence of the Government of India Act, 1935, the Assembly made several significant modifications and departures from the Act to ensure the new constitution was progressive, inclusive, and suited to India's unique needs. 55. Filled circle. Some of these changes included the adoption of a comprehensive list of fundamental rights, the directive principles of state policy, the abolition of separate electorates, and the establishment of a strong central government to maintain unity and integrity. Conclusion. The Act provided a foundation upon which the Assembly could build and adapt according to the aspirations of the newly independent nation. However, the Assembly also made significant departures from the Act to ensure that the Constitution was progressive, inclusive, and reflective of the values of a democratic India. 2014. No question asked. 2013. Q1. Write a critical note on the evolution and significance of the slogan, Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, 200 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle. Introduction. Introduce the slogan, Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, and mention the context and the period in which it was coined. Filled circle. Body. Discuss the evolution of the slogan. Analyze the significance of the slogan. Filled circle. Conclusion. Highlight the continued relevance of the slogan in contemporary India. Introduction. The slogan, Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, meaning, Hail the soldier, hail the farmer, holds immense significance in India's history and continues to resonate in the nation's consciousness. It was coined by India's second Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri, in 1965 during a period of national crisis. The slogan reflects the importance of soldiers and farmers in ensuring the nation's security, self-sufficiency, and prosperity. Body. Evolution of the slogan. Filled circle. The slogan, Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, emerged in the mid-1960s when India faced challenges like a war with Pakistan and a food crisis. Filled circle. Prime Minister Shastri introduced the slogan to unite the nation and address the urgent need for stronger defense and improved agriculture, highlighting the crucial roles of soldiers and farmers in ensuring national security and food security. Significance of the slogan. Filled circle. Unifying force. Jai Jawan Jai Kisan, promoted patriotism and unity during a national crisis, emphasizing collective effort and shared responsibility for overcoming challenges. Field Circle emphasis on self-reliance. The slogan inspired investments in agriculture, leading to the Green Revolution, which transformed India's agricultural landscape, increasing productivity and fostering self-sufficiency in food production. Field Circle recognition of soldiers. The slogan highlighted soldiers' and farmers' crucial roles in India's security and prosperity, instilling pride and respect for these professions. Field Circle lasting impact. Jai Jawan Jai Kisan remains a reminder of soldiers' and farmers' importance to India's well-being and has been adapted to address contemporary issues, such as adding Jai Vigyan to emphasize science and technology's role in development. Conclusion. As a powerful rallying cry, it has left a lasting impact on the nation's political and social fabric and continues to inspire generations to uphold India's spirit of resilience, unity, and progress. Q2. Discuss the contribution of Maulana Abul Kalam Azad to pre- and post-independent India. 200 words, 10 marks. Answer. 56. Approach. Field Circle introduction. Briefly introduce Maulana Abul Kalam Azad's role as a freedom fighter, political leader, and scholar in both pre- and post-independent India. Field Circle body. Discuss his contribution in pre- and post-independent India. Field Circle conclusion. Conclude, emphasizing his impact on nation-building, unity, and inclusive development. Introduction. Maulana Abul Kalam Azad was a prominent Indian scholar, freedom fighter, and political leader who played a significant role in both pre- and post-independent India. As a key figure in the Indian National Congress, Inc., and the first Minister of Education in independent India, his contributions spanned various fields, including education, national integration, and the freedom struggle. Body. Contribution to pre-independent India. Field Circle freedom struggle. Maulana Azad was an active freedom fighter, advocating non-violence and Hindu-Muslim unity. He served as Inc. president in 1923 and 1940–1946. Field Circle opposition to the two-nation theory. Azad opposed Jinnah's two-nation theory and promoted a united, harmonious India for all religions and cultures. Field Circle journalism and literary works. As a journalist and writer, Azad founded the Urdu newspaper Al-Hilal and authored India Wins Freedom, contributing to Indian nationalism and sharing his vision for a united India. Contribution to post-independent India. Field Circle Minister of Education. Maulana Azad established India's modern education system, promoting research, creating institutions like IITs and UGC, and enhancing education. Access for all. Field Circle promotion of culture and heritage. Azad set up institutions like Sahitya Academy, Lalit Kala Academy, and Sangeet Natak Academy to preserve and promote India's cultural heritage. Field Circle national integration. Committed to unity and harmony, Azad emphasized secularism and inclusive education, contributing to nation building in early independent India. Conclusion. His leadership in the freedom struggle, commitment to national integration, and pioneering efforts in the field of education laid the foundation for modern India and continue to inspire generations to uphold the principles of unity, secularism, and inclusive development. Q3. Critically discuss the objectives of Budhan and Gramdan movements initiated by Acharya Vinoba Bhave and their success. 200 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Field Circle introduction. Introduce the Budhan and Gramdan movements, initiated by Acharya Vinoba Bhave, as efforts to address landlessness and promote equitable land distribution. In rural India. Field Circle body. Write the objectives of Budhan and Gramdan movements. Also, do the critical assessment of its success. Field Circle conclusion. Conclude, emphasizing their role in raising awareness, inspiring land reforms, and leaving a lasting impact on India's rural development discourse. Introduction. The Budhan and Gramdan movements, initiated by Acharya Vinoba Bhave in the 1950s, aimed to address landlessness and promote equitable land distribution in rural India. Budhan encouraged voluntary land donations for redistribution, while Gramdan focused on creating self-governing communities with collective land ownership and management. Body. Objectives of Budhan and Gramdan movements. Field Circle address landlessness. The primary objective of these movements was to mitigate landlessness by persuading large landowners to voluntarily donate a portion of their land to the landless poor. 57. Field Circle promote social harmony. the movements aimed to reduce social and economic disparities between the rich landowners and the landless poor. Field Circle encouraged community self-governance. Gramden, in particular, sought to establish self-governing village communities where land was owned and managed collectively. This was expected to strengthen local governance, empower villages, and promote democratic values at the grassroots level. Field Circle implement Gandhian principles. They were considered as an extension of Gandhi's vision of Gram Swaraj, or village self-rule. Critical assessment of success. Field Circle land donations. The Budin movement did achieve some success in terms of land donations. However, the actual land redistributed among the landless poor was significantly less than the donated land, due to various factors such as poor land records, legal disputes, and reluctance among some landowners. Field Circle limited impact on landlessness. Although the movements aimed to address landlessness, their overall impact on this issue was limited. The land acquired through Budin was often infertile, fragmented, or insufficient to sustain the landless families. Field Circle Gramden's mixed outcomes. The Gramden movement had some success in certain regions, with several villages adopting collective land ownership and self-governance. However, it failed to gain widespread acceptance, partly due to deeply entrenched social hierarchies and resistance from powerful landowning classes. Field Circle short-lived momentum. The initial enthusiasm for the Budin and Gramden movements waned over time. As government policies, such as land ceiling laws and land reforms, were introduced, the focus shifted away from these voluntary movements. Conclusion. The Budin and Gramden movements by Acharya Vinoba Bhave made progress in land redistribution and rural self-governance but faced limited success due to challenges like administrative issues, social structures, and landlessness scale. Nevertheless, they raised awareness, inspired land reforms, and impacted India's rural development discourse. Q4. Analyze the circumstances that led to Tashkent Agreement in 1966. Discuss the highlights of the agreement. 200 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Field Circle Introduction. Introduce the Tashkent Agreement as a diplomatic effort between India and Pakistan following the 1965 Indo-Pak War to restore peace and stability in the region. Field Circle Body. Talk about the circumstances that led to the Tashkent Agreement. Mention the highlights of the agreement. Field Circle Conclusion. Summarize the importance of the Tashkent Agreement in restoring peace and normalizing relations between India and Pakistan, despite not achieving a lasting resolution for underlying issues like the Kashmir dispute. Introduction. The Tashkent Agreement was signed on January 10, 1966, between India and Pakistan, following the 1965 Indo-Pak War. It aimed to restore normal diplomatic relations and promote peace in the region. Body. Circumstances that led to the Tashkent Agreement. Field Circle. The 1965 Indo-Pak War. The Tashkent Agreement was primarily triggered by the 1965 Indo-Pak War, which started with border skirmishes in the Rann of Kutch and escalated into a full-scale conflict over Jammu and Kashmir. Field Circle International pressure. During the Cold War, the US and Soviet Union were concerned about India-Pakistan conflict escalation, fearing regional implications and potential involvement. Field Circle Ceasefire and Peace Talks. The UN Security Council passed Resolution 211, calling for a ceasefire between India and Pakistan. The Soviet Union, led by Premier Kosygin, mediated peace talks, resulting in the Tashkent Conference. 58. Highlights of the Tashkent Agreement. Field Circle withdrawal of troops. Both India and Pakistan agreed to withdraw their respective troops to pre-war positions by February 25, 1966. This led to a de-escalation of military tensions along the borders. Field Circle restoration of diplomatic relations. The Tashkent Agreement provided for the restoration of normal diplomatic and economic relations between the two countries, which had been severed during the war. Field Circle exchange of prisoners of war. Both countries agreed to exchange prisoners of war and return the captured territories as per the pre-war status. Field Circle no territorial gains. Despite the large-scale conflict, neither India nor Pakistan gained any significant territorial advantage from the war. Field Circle non-interference in internal affairs. Both countries agreed to respect each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty and committed to non-interference in each other's internal affairs. Field Circle peaceful settlement of disputes. The Tashkent Agreement also called for a peaceful settlement of all outstanding disputes between India and Pakistan, including the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, through negotiations and diplomatic channels. Conclusion. The Tashkent Agreement was a crucial diplomatic effort to restore peace and stability in the region following the 1965 Indo-Pak War. Although it did not lead to a long-lasting resolution of the underlying issues between India and Pakistan, particularly the Kashmir dispute, it played a significant role in de-escalating military tensions and normalizing diplomatic relations between the two nations. Q5. Critically examine the compulsions which prompted India to play a decisive role in the emergence of Bangladesh. 200 words, 10 marks. Answer. Approach. Filled circle introduction. Introduce India's role in Bangladesh's emergence in 1971 as a defining moment in South Asian history, highlighting the interplay of humanitarian, strategic, and geopolitical factors. Filled circle body. Critically examine the compulsions which prompted India to play a decisive role in the emergence of Bangladesh. Filled circle conclusion. Conclude, highlighting the importance of understanding regional relations and decision-making in times of crisis. Introduction. India's role in Bangladesh's emergence in 1971 highlights the complex interplay of humanitarian, strategic, and geopolitical factors driving its decisive intervention in shaping a neighboring nation's future. Body. Listed below are the factors that prompted India to play a decisive role in the emergence of Bangladesh. Filled circle humanitarian crisis. The brutal crackdown by the Pakistani military in East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, in 1971 led to a massive humanitarian crisis. Millions of refugees, primarily Bengali-speaking Hindus, fled to India to escape persecution, placing immense strain on India's resources and infrastructure. India's intervention was partly driven by the urgent need to address this humanitarian catastrophe. Filled circle strategic interests. East Pakistan's struggle for independence provided India with an opportunity to weaken its rival, Pakistan. A weakened and divided Pakistan would help reduce the security threat posed by Pakistan's military, particularly on India's eastern front. Filled circle geopolitical considerations. India's intervention in the Bangladesh Liberation War was also influenced by Cold War dynamics. Pakistan had the support of the United States and China, while India sought support from the Soviet Union. By aiding Bangladesh, India sought to counterbalance the influence of the US and China in the region and strengthen its strategic partnership with the Soviet Union. Filled circle regional stability. India was concerned about the impact of the crisis in East Pakistan on regional stability. The influx of refugees and the potential for the conflict to spill over into India's territory could have had serious consequences for India's national security and regional peace. 59. Conclusion. The emergence of Bangladesh remains a significant milestone in South Asian history, illustrating the complex dynamics that influence regional relations and decision-making in times of crisis.